Of all the box office bombs in the 90s, Lost in Space is one that the whole world seemed to delight in just ripping to shreds. Critics really, really hated it, and despite this movie actually going down in history as being the first movie to finally knock Titanic off its top spot at the box office after 15 consecutive weeks, still didn't make a ton of money, and the studio had to cancel its plans to make a trilogy. If you look at its IMDb score today, it certainly proved its no-cult classic. However, I think when you look at it now, you might be surprised to find out it isn't this shockingly turdy piece of poo that you heard of or still remember. I loved it as a kid, and I practically wore up my VHS tape of it, and seeing it again for the first time in years, I'm kind of surprised it's so universally fucked on. That's not to say it's a science fiction classic or anything. The movie is way overlong and almost 2.5 hours, and the acting and dialogue are far from There Will Be Blood.
I drink your milkshake.
Never listen to me. Not ever.
But as far as fun, silly, entertaining space opera goes, I think Space delivers. It's based on the campy TV show from the 60s, which today is really only famous for its line, "Danger, Will Robinson," which the movie shittily reused.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
It was set in 1997, which is both funny and ironic because that's the year the movie version began production. The story has always been about a family being lost in space, yeah, what a shock, but the movie surprisingly takes it into some fairly interesting territory, using stuff like time travel and alternate dimensions. The movie opens with a fairly cool space battle, and even back then I thought that the designs of the ships were actually more nifty and creative than the Star Wars prequels a couple years later. Yeah, it's easy to laugh at Matt fucking LeBlanc trying to be a badass, but he does actually do an okay job at it. No one's going to mistake his character for Han Solo or anything, but he's not horrible. What is horrible, though, are the children. The movie has a painful 20-odd minutes before the launch into space, and it's just filled with these character-building scenes of these two shitty buggers. Lacey Chabert, the hottie who ruined her career by dumping on Family Guy and then being replaced by Mila Kunis, is really whiny and irritating. But she's nothing compared to her little idiot brother Will, who is almost as annoying as Jake Lloyd in The Phantom Menace.
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
But once they get lost, mostly because of Gary Oldman fucking shit up, the movie becomes pretty enjoyable, with some sweet action scenes and a nasty villain who becomes eventually a space spider thingy. And then Joey from Friends having such a kick-ass battle mask it gave the 10-year-old me a boner back in 1998. Most people's major criticisms were the lengthy running time, the lack of whimsy and fun, and the lousy special effects. For me, the CGI on stuff like the spaceships are actually fairly good, but yeah, admittedly the movie's animators fail pretty epic on the living creatures like the alien spiders and Blorp, which is a fucking space monkey. Also, when Gary Oldman transforms in the end to that weird monster thing, he reminds us all of Dwayne Johnson's face on a scorpion from Mummy Returns, and that's never a good thing to remember. The hatred over the semi-seriousness of the production, okay, I understand that, especially back in the late 90s. But if you watch it again today, when literally every single blockbuster, no matter how retarded, is taken with the utmost seriousness, it actually kind of works. I don't want to say anything I can't take back, like Lost in Space was ahead of its time, because that could get me in a lot of trouble. But I do admire the attempt in taking a really corny family TV show and trying to make it darker and a little more intense. When it tries to be dramatic, no question, the movie's more limp than David Hyde Pierce looking at a Penthouse magazine. But when it sticks to the action-adventure formula, it's not bad at all, and Gary Oldman's actually kind of terrific as a deceptive doctor that everyone trusts a lot more than any sane person Lost in Space would do. Personally, I prefer when a movie tries for something different and totally fails than when it just plays it completely safe. This movie could have done that and would have been totally vanilla, but it strived to be a little cooler, and if that didn't quite work, hey, at least it wasn't an Attack of the fucking Clones.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's holding me back!
So all in all, I think Lost in Space deserves more credit than it gets. It's big, it's bloated, and it's ridiculous. Sure, I'll grant you that. But it also has some sweet sci-fi action, a ton of great-looking people, and that goddamn awesome battle mask, which I still fucking want. I would love to have that. I would walk around the town all day in that shit. Frankly, if you think Lost in Space sucks, and there's a lot of you, then there's really only one person that you should try and blame, Akiva Goldsman. Sure, he wrote A Beautiful Mind. Good on him. He also wrote Batman and Robin. Yeah, I'm bringing that movie back up again. So, if anyone's to blame for the sucky parts of Lost in Space, like the fucking space monkey, then, it's probably him.